I did. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be doing some serious multitasking here.
That just means we have to talk more. Is that the plan?
That's fine with me. All right. We are live in a few places. Chat rooms bumping in there. All right, I think we got that worked out, right? I think we're good.
I'm sorry.
Aww. The dogs, silly dogs. Always dogs.
Those sounded punter size to me.
Mm-hmm. Not my dogs this time. I have no idea where my dogs are. They're probably very confused. I'm not in the same place, but the same thing's going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Josh, you ready? You're on mute.
Yes.
But I got it. You're good.
I'm ready.
All right, we're good. So let's see if I know how to do this. I think I'm ready, but then I suddenly am like, wait, what do I need to do here?
Play intro.
Play the intro. Okay. Here we go. Wait, I have to count. Scott will be mad at me if I don't count. So.
And 3, 2, 1.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash. On the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday. It's 8:30, and that means it's once again time for the Geocaching Podcast. Scott Burks is out on assignment tonight, so instead we have a no bueno show. My name is Shorty Nitz. Welcome my co-host, Chaz427.
Howdy, y'all. So howdy, y'all. Have you committed a deadly sin of the geocaching hiding variety?
And we have special guests joining us tonight. Give it up for the one, the only, the published author, Joshua Johnson, the geocaching blogger.
Hey, everybody. It is good to be here tonight to fill in. I am Joan Rivers or Jay Leno to Johnny Carson. We just dated ourselves.
Yeah, that works. We'll take it. So tonight's episode 723, recorded live on June 29th, 2022. We are talking about geocaching deadly sins, geocache containers, and hides. The phone lines are open. Give us a call, 808-468-7924. That's 808-GOT-SWAG. Or for international callers, you can call us free via the web at callinstudio.com/show/GCPC. We ran out of music.
Yeah.
Normally the music's still playing. We're all thrown off tonight. Sorry, guys.
I talked too much.
Nah, it's not
I added too much.
I was afraid. I was going to get through that too quickly, and then I'd have all this music left over. So.
Well, I stumbled because I'm used to Scott there, and I just said howdy y'all instead of saying my whatever my spiel I had written there.
Yeah, it's all good. So let's talk Patreon. Costs a lot of money, as we all know, to make the show work. We appreciate all of our patrons that we have. But, there's always more that we can give back. So we appreciate anything new that anyone wants to give. You can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/the Geocaching Podcast. Anything that you can give is greatly appreciated. Or you can subscribe. You can become a patron member. Patron members get lots of extra stuff, some goodies, some path tags, some stickers. We have a coin level. There are a few coins left. We do extra behind the scenes videos, audios, extra shows, you name it, it's out there. We do it. So you can go to patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast.
There was a video this week for the patrons enveloping
Unplugging.
this little treasure.
Oh, that's how I should have introduced you, Josh. I totally dropped the ball on that. I should
This
have
thing
announced.
right here.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
We have the greatest treasure himself.
Aw.
Aw. So, all right, we'll get into that in just a minute, but first,
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Cachely. Cachely is an advanced geocaching app for iOS that features powerful online and offline features, including filtered searches, offline maps, and offline saving caches. Cachely has hundreds of advanced features that will make your geocaching experience just that much better. Get more info at cachely.com. That's CACHLY.com.
and it's also sponsored by Logwork. Logwork are the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine Write in the Rain paper. The logbooks are designed for micro containers of the present and future and geared towards the hider who would rather go caching than do cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's LOGWERK.com.
It's also brought to you by FTF Geocacher Magazine. FTF Geocacher Magazine is the magazine for geocachers written by geocachers. With 6 issues a year, FTF offers practical advice, hints and tips, cacher bios, milestones, geocaching events, trail tales, and all things geo-related. Find them at ftfgeocacher.com.
And by the Max Suds Body Company. Max Suds Body Company makes handmade bath and body products from all natural oils and butters. Items such as Poison Begone soap, itch spray, and 2-cent choices of bug spray are all great for outdoor enthusiasts like geocachers. At Max Suds Body, we have you covered from head to toe. Find them at maxsudsbody.com. That's MACSUDSBODY.com.
And by Practical Geocaching. Practical Geocaching sells utility items for geocaching. Our items are made in the USA, and we always provide free shipping. Find them at practicalgeocaching.com. That's PRACTICAL geocaching.com.
And by Art Ed Crafted. Art Ed Crafted creates unique geocaching themed tees and custom designs for you or your geocaching group. Got me all messed up because I never read this one.
I know.
With adult sizes ranging from small to 5XL. If you have an idea for a shirt design and cannot find it, then you've come to the right place. Please give us the opportunity to show you how we can enhance your geocaching experience with your own custom design. Visit them at artedcrafted.com. That's ARTEDCRAFTED.com.
And by pathtags.com for all your swag and path tag needs. Visit our website to get creative help to trade or log tags to purchase your own personalized path tags. With over 44,000 tags to collect, pathtags.com is everywhere. It's and everything. You need to start your path tag obsession. Visit them at pathtags.com.
And by Geocaching Adventures, LLC. Geocaching Adventures is a full-service travel agency specializing in creating the ultimate worldwide geocaching adventures for cachers and non-cachers alike. What could be better than having your geocaching bucket list vacation all planned and led by a traveling expert? Learn more by visiting us at geocachingadventuresllc.com. That's geocachingadventuresllc.com.
And finally by GeoGo. Go caching with GeoGo, the geocaching app for Android that includes a Where I Go player, trackable scanner, companion watch app, and county fines database. If you're an advanced geocacher, GeoGo helps with powerful features like nearby cache notifications, optimized routes, offline mode, bulk TB logging, and much more. Learn more by visiting us at geogo.com. That's GOOH-GO.com.
And you can find links to all of our sponsors on our website or
in our show notes.
Always. So, Josh,
Yeah.
you have a little bit of news lately here, don't you?
It's been a week since I've been an official published author of a comic book.
That's so exciting.
Yep, The Greatest Treasure. I've been on I've been all over social media just trying to get the word out about the comic book coming out. It's been a long journey. I think you guys had me on, or I called in when we did the Indiegogo campaign way back in the 1st of November, and we were able to raise the money to get it done in like 4 days, and since then Rich has been drawing like crazy. I've been working like crazy to get this out and get these to all the supporters. So it's a mail to all the supporters, and now you can actually buy it. It's been a long 2-year plus journey. So, but I'm excited that it's available.
It is awesome, and I love all the Easter eggs.
Yes.
All the little fun stuff. I've read through it several times, and every time I find something new that I didn't see the first time around. So
yeah, it is kind of nice that Rich did put in a can you find it page.
Yeah,
that has like most of the listed Easter eggs, but the pyramid. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to study the pyramid, but inside the pyramid is just stuffed with all kinds of pop culture references, like the DeLorean's in there and like R2-D2's in there, and so we stuffed it with lots of things that a 4-year-old could love or a 104-year-old could love. So
yeah, it's awesome, and the story, of course, is so true.
Yeah, and I really wanted to make sure I captured the spirit of what geocaching is really about, because when I'm on TikTok, people see 30-second clips of me finding something, and people just don't get it. And I wanted to create something that I could hand to somebody that doesn't get it to maybe understand a little bit more of what the appeal is of geocaching. So I hope that mission was accomplished.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Definitely.
Yep. And so if somebody hasn't bought it yet and they'd like to, where can they find it?
Yeah, you can right here, if you're watching the video, geocachingcomic.com. Can you believe it? Geocachingcomic.com was available. And that doesn't mean I'm becoming a geocaching comedian. That could be a
Too
little
late for that. The boat's already sailed
right.
there.
Right. Maybe that's the next thing I should do. But no, geocachingcomic.com. It'll take you right to Amazon, and it's available throughout the US and Canada. I think the UK can get it, but I think outside of those places, people can pick it up on Kindle as well. And awesome. I'll be doing some, I'll just announce this. I'm doing some signings. I'll be at Cache Fest doing some signings. People can get it there. I'll be in Seattle. And then the first week of September, I'll be back in Germany and bringing a bunch over there. So
awesome.
So yeah, it's exciting.
Very
Good
cool.
news. Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay, so tonight we're talking about Geocaching Deadly Sins, containers, and hides.
Mm-hmm.
We all know when we find a cache that we absolutely love, what's so great about it. But when you find a cache that maybe is not so great, what makes it not so great? Let's call these out, and hopefully people won't do these.
Are we going to take calls too, or can people call in?
Absolutely. Yeah. If anybody has anything to share, 808-468-GOT-SWAG, 808-468-7924. Give us a call, or you can go to callinstudio.com/show/GCPC. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a story about a bad cache container or bad hide that you found. I shouldn't say bad. Things you should not do. Let's call it that.
I just realized, you always have me on at least once a year on the Thanksgiving show to show our gratitude. And I just find it ironic that I'm on a show tonight all about hating things.
Let's hear your gripes, Josh.
Okay. Because I got them. I've been holding them in.
All right, here you go. Here's your platform. Let's hear it. So do you want to start?
I guess I could start. I'm seeing the list here that you guys made. Let me just say your list is considerably longer than mine, but I'm sure I'll have things to say about your containers. But the one I'd say, if I could pick one container that I just despise, and that would be pill containers, and mainly because
they're child proof and you can't open them.
Yeah,
especially with duct tape on it.
Or pill containers under lampposts that are camoed. Like, why do you need to camo them?
That always makes me laugh.
Yes.
Yeah. But the main reason I don't like pill containers, I do a lot of introducing new people to geocaching. And I think when new players find a pill container, I'm afraid that it can give geocaching a bad rap,
Right.
because I already on TikTok I'll have a video blow up or something, and people are like, oh, this is a great way for people to hide drugs, or you're giving ideas to the drug dealers, and I just think it gives geocaching sort of a bad rap when somebody maybe for the first time finds their first cache and it's literally a pill container, and you're just like,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel so good.
Right.
So that's why I'm not a fan of pill containers in general. I wish we could just retire that.
Okay.
Rebuttal.
Yeah.
I don't completely disagree with it, especially LPCs. I don't care for LPCs to begin with. So whether they're a bison or not under lamp, I don't care for them. I like them when I'm trying to get a quick, easy find for I need to get that find for that day or something. But other than that, I don't like them, and I don't put them out.
Yeah.
Now I have hidden pill containers as tree hangers that require a tot for someone to get. So,
I think the placement of it, I think pill containers in urban environments are worse than out in the woods somewhere hanging in a tree. I just be too worried a muggle would get confused of like, why are there pills out here?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my number one.
And
that's
they tend to get mushy. The logs tend to get mushy in them, especially in humid environments or under lampposts where they're laying on their side. And
yeah.
All right. Well, I get it.
Jesse you don't agree though.
No, I don't disagree.
Okay.
No, I don't disagree. I totally understand that. And if I were to take someone to find their first cache, I would make sure that it wasn't.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Pill bottle.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That I'm thinking of it through that lens of that. If that was somebody's first cache, I would not. I would be embarrassed. I think. Be like, oh, we should have not taken him to this one.
Right. All right. So what about a plain Ziploc baggie?
That's pretty bad.
Have you found any?
That's probably worse than pill bottle.
Yeah.
I found them, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Definitely. I found them like full of swag, just a Ziploc baggie stuck in a tree.
And it's even worse than the, what do you call those, the Gladware containers that they're supposed to be reusable for like 5 times until they start deteriorating. Well, you stick them out in the woods, and they're gonna be gone in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they freeze, they melt.
Yep.
They're literally litter.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's just, let's be honest, it's one step away from a plastic grocery bag.
Right.
That might even be better. Now, the exception that I'll make to plastic bags as containers is if you do a little treatment on it first and turn it into a Slim Bob. That I'm okay with. Put some duct tape on it, make it sturdy, make it a little more weatherproof.
Yeah.
Yeah, people out here like to do that and stick them in utility poles, in the crevices of the utility poles, or sometimes back wedged between the sign when they have a sign connected to it by the 4x4 post.
Mm-hmm.
Like wedge it back there. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen those in some pretty creative places, like in between the shingles on the roof on a gazebo. Those
and even putting a magnet inside to stick it behind something that doesn't have much space in between there, but to make sure it stays.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Chad, what you got?
Okay,
go ahead.
sorry.
On the hides, inaccurate coordinates, and I'm not talking off by a few feet. I'm talking off by 30, 40, 50 feet. And this isn't the transposing the digits or something like that. But I'll add to that with the caches placed or people not checking the satellite view
Mhm.
on coordinates, and it's like, okay, you got one tree, it's underneath this one tree, but your coordinates are 100 feet away and there isn't a tree there.
Right.
All you got to do is, they even provide it there for you. And it's like, check the satellite view. It's like, oh, it wasn't by the tree, maybe those are the wrong coordinates.
Yeah. I
When I-
agree with that.
When I first started caching, there were a couple people in my area that would post the coordinates like offset them on purpose.
Yeah.
And then they would defend it by saying, I did that because I wanted to make it harder.
Yep. We have someone here who would do that too.
And I don't get it.
Now I've posted it about 10 feet off.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
why did you do that?
But it was a DT 4.5
Mm-hmm.
3.
Mm-hmm.
So I made it. It was specifically a hard find, and I put the coordinates where it's still well within the boundaries.
Yeah.
But also, you've got the dugout, you've got the bleachers, and you got trash can, you got fence line. So it's like, if I'm gonna make it a 4.5 for you, then you're gonna have to spend some effort on that. But that was specifically done with that 4.5. Someone needed the DT, and someone also needed the letter U for an animal. I forget what I think it was Yugasi. It's a Japanese bird. It was like the only thing that I could find that was an animal with the letter U.
For a challenge?
For a challenge.
Uh-huh. So you made it hard.
So I made it hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm thinking of some of the ones that were like 30 feet off in the woods for no reason.
30
Right.
feet off in the woods and making it a 1.5, 2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't do that.
It's like if you want to make the difficulty harder, just make a more difficult cache to find.
Right.
Put the coordinates right and put it in a not the usual location.
Exactly.
Right.
Or a place where there's multiple possibilities, like Chad just said.
Right.
Yeah. So Scott just put out a new hide not too long ago, and he intentionally put the cords off because it was real close to the boundary of the forest preserve, and so he was afraid that it would get denied, if it was too close to the boundary. And so he put it like 20 feet in just to be safe, and then put in the hint 20 feet west.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was intentional, not to make it hard, because
Right.
So speaking of hints, what do you think about meaningless hints? Like, have you ever come across a cache where you can't find, you're like, let me check the hint, and you look at it and you're like, that
What?
did nothing. What was the point of that?
Exactly.
Right? Do you have any good ones? I know I'm putting you guys on the spot.
Well,
Do you have any good ones?
I've got a good one, but of my own, but it's like, well, hang on, go ahead. I gotta find the cache just to read what the hint is, but in one way it can be interpreted as a meaningless hint, but it actually does have meaning.
Okay.
But
My favorite is when you look at the hint and it says none, or NA, or not needed.
or it taunts you by saying, you need a hint?
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have checked the hint if I didn't need a hint.
Yeah, right? Like, what's the point of that? Do they think that when they're submitting it and they're filling out the new cache page, that like they have to fill something in for every single blank?
Possibly.
I mean, I don't know. But my favorite is, be sure to check out, fill in the blank of any other nearby cache while you're in the area. Why is that a hint?
Or how about this? Like you're caching in a new area that you don't really know, and they go, oh, a typical Arizona style. and I'm just like, I don't know what Arizona style is.
Oh yeah, yeah. There, I see a lot of like local areas and say it's a Jim Bob style. It's like, who's Jim Bob and what's his style? So here's the hint. If you've, and that's spelled UV, not figured it out yet, then a world of ultraviolet hurt isn't going to shine the light on it for you.
Oh, that's clever.
Okay, but that's a good hint because
yeah, actually, I thought it was worse than that. Now that I reread it, it's like that's not bad.
No, that makes sense.
It's a non-hint hint.
It's a non-hint hint. Yeah.
Right. I saw something the other day. I wish I had written it down. It was real similar. It was like something like, if this cache has you on the fence, or maybe geocaching has you on the fence, but it'd be a low down shame if you something or other. I don't know.
Right.
And like
I'm looking at the bottom of the fence. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna look at exactly. So those are fine.
Yeah.
The chat room has some good ones. Casey11. How about please leave a favorite point? that's desperate.
That's the hint.
That's the hint.
Ooh, maybe I
If
should
you
add
Jane
that hint
Doe,
on some of mine.
yeah, Jane Doe. If you need a hint, you need a new hobby. Ouch.
Right. Yeah, those are good. All right, what else you guys got? Josh, what you got?
Are we doing both hides and hides and containers?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, I think both of you mentioned mint tins.
Oh yeah.
As containers, and we know. I mean,
I didn't mention it because they don't tend to turn to rust here.
Right. Depends where you live.
So it depends on where you live. And in Houston, they didn't turn to rust either, even though it's a humid environment. There's no salt for like winter and that kind of stuff. And there, for some reason, they don't tend to rust out like I've seen it in the Midwest.
Yeah, they're pretty bad in the Midwest.
Right.
But I get why people use them. I mean, they're kind of a perfect little size. And people make them magnetic. I get why people use them.
Right.
Like they're good when they start, typically, but then they deteriorate quickly and become dangerous. I mean, sometimes they just become evil shards of rust that's just a tetanus shot waiting to happen.
Right. And not only that, but you got to get a pocket knife out to try to pry it open, and you're going to end up stabbing your finger trying to force the thing open.
Yeah, they get frozen in the winter. They're really hard to deal with in the winter.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. I had somebody, I was going to share this because I saw the mint tins. The mint tins in Australia are like different. I don't know. Do we have these? Do we have these? We have these?
Yeah, they're not as common, but yeah, we've got those.
Because when I think of mint tins, I think Altoids. That's what I think.
Right.
So
but
what Josh was showing for the listeners is a longer tin container that the short end flips open, sort of like a pack of cigarettes, for lack of a comparison.
Yeah, I can understand why people use it. And then what was really cool, check this out. Then they sent me this from Australia. Then they sent me this, which is like, for the audio listeners, it is like a camoed sticker set that only fits the mint tin.
Oh.
And then look at this. And then it turns into this.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh,
so it
sweet.
looks like it's like duct tape.
Yeah.
But it's a sticker.
The sticker is designed to perfectly fit this mint tin. It's really cool. It's just too bad. Too bad that mint tins are pretty awful, but what a cool. I was just like kind of blown away that
I would put that out here because it wouldn't rust here.
Maybe I'll give these to you in Seattle because I have literally like 5 of these.
Okay.
So
those are cool.
They are cool. I was just blown away. I mean, that somebody creates these stickers that fit exactly on these tins. Anyway, never seen anything like it.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
All right, what else? What you got, Chad?
Poor cache descriptions. So you go in there, it's like there's no thought about it. It's like it's a cache. So it's like, Okay, be a little bit more original. Come up with an original name. You don't have to have an extensive story or anything, but put some thought into it.
I'm very guilty of that.
I'm guilty of not reading people's descriptions, but
Well, then what is
and ironically, I'm complaining about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of guilty of that. Like, I'm trying to think of the one. I can't remember what it's called. I have one right down the street, and it's like filling in the hole, or this looks like a good spot, or I don't know, like something dumb. But to be honest, I put it there because I was trying to like find a puzzle, and so I was like just putting caches out, trying to dive bomb it, and so I didn't get creative at all. It's like an LPC in a parking lot. Who cares, So like I did come up with anything.
You need to
Creative.
create a throwdown series. Throwdown number 1, throwdown number 2. Those are those descriptions.
That would be good. So what about really bad containers? Something that is not intended to be outside at all.
Mhm.
I've seen plastic Easter eggs, like
Yeah.
as the container, not as like inside,
Yeah.
a fun game, find the log and, 30 Easter eggs. But
I
like,
found one of those in the Atlantic rainforest of Brazil.
Hmm.
And you're like, really? You're going to do a pink Easter egg out here as much as it rains out here. And I was like, the log, of course, was mush.
well, yeah. I mean, a lot of those even have holes in them, don't they? Don't they have like 2 holes in the end? I think they used to.
This one didn't. So
Was that in Intervalis that you
yeah,
found?
that was an Intervalis.
Well,
After coming down
Was it
from
your
the mirror, what was the one, the peak there, the mirror,
lookout.
the lookout peak.
Yeah.
After coming down the backside of it, it was like right down at the bottom of the backside. I don't know if it was still there when you went there.
I don't recall that, but the people that are caching that park because of the ape cache, that was a vacation drop cache that they were hoping
Definitely.
that they're the locals would look after, but really,
Right.
you're gonna
my cache there. I gave JR like 6 or 7 lock and locks. And mine was a lock and lock that was put out there, and kind of like as a bribe to have him maintain my cache. So,
well, I found it. It was in good shape, and the cool thing about it is that that's a where I go. So you can get I think I got a ton of icons just in that park, which including the ape cache, which is really cool. I think that was the only where I go in the park at the time.
Cool.
So that was awesome. Look at we're finding ways to be positive in the hate show. I got one. We all love gadget caches, or at least I do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's folks out there that really do them well, but I've encountered those that kind of people that like to copy other people's ideas and kind of like create their own, and it's just like kind of like forgive me if people love Walmart, but it's like kind of like the Walmart version of gadget cache,
right?
Where it's like they cut corners and you open that thing and it's just filled with bugs. Like ants have taken it over, or spiders or mice, and it's just like you cut corners, you didn't seal that thing up and make it so creatures can't get in it. I found too many gadget caches that are just like ant infested, and that's bad.
Oh yeah.
Don't like those.
Agreed. Here, so KC11 says he found an old plastic VCR tape box as a container. Everything was soaking wet inside.
So
there was one in.
It's okay to use those, but use another container that is sealed inside of it. I've seen that with boots, with old telephones, all kinds of different things that you're never gonna seal it up right, but put a big bison in there, or a lock and lock inside of it, or something that fits that is watertight.
Scott and I found a cassette tape, not a VCR, but just a regular audio cassette tape container, but it did have another smaller container inside that the log was in, probably like a bison or something was inside. That's okay.
Yeah, I think I can think of several containers where they use like an old camera
Hmm.
or a old cell phone, and they use the battery area to
Hmm.
put the logbook. And I think that's that's fine. I think people like that because it's like different and creative, and then they can come up with creative names for it. But you're right, Chad. It's like really think about that logbook and to make sure that it's not it. If you need to put another, if you use the creative thing as the host, and
Right.
think of a good cache to put inside of it,
Hmm.
to make it better.
Even fake
Yeah.
rocks without a bison or something
Right.
else inside to hold that log. You put a log inside a fake rock, forget it.
I had a
Less.
raccoon skull out in the woods where I epoxied in a bison tube into where the spinal cord would come into the back of the skull there, and so
That's different. That would probably freak me out.
different. Yes.
I found one. I don't know what kind of skull it was, but I did find one like that. It was a skull, and it was like hanging in a tree, and you
Mhm.
actually had to reach inside of it to pull the container out. Ugh, I did not like that. That would be a deadly sin for me, but I'm sure other people probably would enjoy that. I don't know. And of course, we see lots of micros in the woods that are like microwaves or fake microwaves. I just came across one. It was a Fisher Price. I don't know if Fisher Price is still around. It was like a toy microwave.
Yeah.
You push the button and it would spin, and then the cache was inside of it. The light came on and it spun around, and then you'd open it
Cute.
up. The cache was inside. It was cute. It was really cute.
The modernized easy bake oven.
Yeah. Jesse, did you cook by light bulb when you were a child?
I never had an easy bake. No, I did not.
See, I made my sister cook me cookies in the easy bake oven.
Nope.
All right.
Never
So here's another one. Changing. So it's kind of along the hides, but people changing the DT ratings after the cache has been out there for a while because someone complains after it's got 20, 30, 40 fines, because that irritates people to death who are working on their DT grid, or
Mhm.
one day they have their DT grid five over, and the next day it's down to 4. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, where you had somebody do that with a puzzle that the hider figured out that people were passing around cords, because that's what people do. I mean, there's no way around that. It just happens.
Yeah.
And so they got mad and lowered the DT.
Yeah, well, you could see that here when you got a geochecker that has 19 solves, and you got 100 plus people who have found it.
Right. Right. Yeah, we have that around here. Or what about pencil boxes? Have you seen like a school
God.
pencil box?
I have literally seen it. The only positive thing I can say about it is the duct tape was still holding it together 3 months after it was put out, but I'm sure it turned to mush soon thereafter.
That plastic is so thin, like the Rubbermaid is, like in winter up here. It's
Mhm.
like you literally touch that thing and it breaks.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And not only that, but I mean, it doesn't seal and the rain gets in. And
Mhm.
all right, here, Arted Craft in the chat room says, how about baby doll caches? Have you guys come across caches that are baby dolls or
Yes.
Yes.
I like them, actually, as long as you use it as the host and put the cache inside of it somewhere.
Yes.
Right.
For some reason, I like the ones where the body and the head's still there and intact, and you got to rip the head off.
Yeah.
To get to the cache container.
I'd be afraid to do that.
It's a great Halloween cache. The baby doll, the creepy baby doll. I like those for some reason.
Mhm.
Severed limbs, Tyrone shoelace.
See, when the baby doll has a tattoo GC on it.
Oh yeah.
you know you're ripping the head off of the right baby doll.
Okay, or what about the skeleton hand coming up out of the ground and
Oh, yeah.
the containers in it? But now what if the skeleton hand is in a cemetery?
Yeah. Well, okay.
In the cemetery or on the outskirts?
So
No, this was in the cemetery, like
it's a-
next to it.
Have you
Have
you found one like that?
Was it at a grave or in the woods outside of a cemetery?
No, it was in the cemetery. It was like there was a tree and then a headstone like next to the tree, and then this was sort of in front of the tree, but not too far from that headstone.
That's a little much for me. I wouldn't be ballsy enough to do that. I have seen them out in the woods near cemeteries, but
I was pretty new
Yeah.
when I came across that, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about this." Here, Jim RKY says he found a shallow grave cache at the edge of the cemetery, complete with skeleton.
Yikes.
Sweet.
So there's a cache. This spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay, everybody, leave if you don't like it. There's a cache. I won't say where it is, but it's in a cemetery, and there's a couple of these out there like this, and it's a headstone, a real headstone, amongst the rest of the. Well, it was a corner headstone of the cemetery, and you get to the headstone, and the headstone says the name on it is Myra Maines. You get it? My remains. My remains. And
Okay,
you actually lift up the top of the headstone, and the cache is underneath the top section of the headstone. And I shared that video on TikTok, and some people are like, "Oh, so disrespectful." But the context of it is the person that hit it is the priest that is in charge of the cemetery. That is a geocacher.
Oh my god!
Awesome.
So it's like full permission,
Right.
that it's there, and yeah, it's not like some cachers thought, I'm just gonna put a fake. It's a real cement headstone.
Wow!
But the priest put it there. It says my remains on it. It's a great hide.
Yeah.
Wow! I don't know if I would. I don't know. I mean, did you know that it opened? Like, what could you tell that there was a crack, or like, how did you start pulling and trying to open it?
Well, when you saw, I mean, with the headstone saying my remains,
Yeah,
and you instantly you're like, oh, that's it. It's a joke.
yeah.
Then it gives you the confidence to start messing with it.
Right.
And it's literally in the ground. So you just kind of start touching it. And then when I touched the top, I noticed the top was loose, and I lifted it up. I'll send it to you after the show. You can see what it's like.
Sweet.
That's great. That's
But yeah, I mean, some people would say, no, that's inappropriate or that's disrespectful, but it's the priest that runs the cemetery that put it there. I just thought it was funny.
that is funny.
Definitely.
All right, I forget whose turn it is. So what do we got?
I'm gonna go with hides in areas that are clearly marked no trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
So
What about on the back of a no trespassing sign? Or on the no trespassing sign?
you physically don't have to go on the other side of the no trespassing sign. So I'm gonna say that's a gray area where the cache hider should make their best judgment. I would do it. I might put a nano out on one.
On a no trespassing sign?
On a no trespassing sign. That would be fun.
I've seen on social media, geocaches that say that the geocacher put out a sign that said no geocaching allowed, and it was on the sign. I thought that's funny.
That's funny. That's good. I think that would give it away.
Yeah, right. No
Yeah.
geocache, like a real, well, like a sign that's like, sorry to the audio.
We got
listeners,
Doug Bob on the show.
a cache like this,
Warning cache.
where it looks like a real sign.
Authorized
those of
personnel
you-
only.
Yeah, it says geocaching located below warning. So it's like, it looks like a real official sign.
That's pretty good. All right. So I've seen in the chat room a few people have mentioned glass containers.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on glass containers?
I've never had a problem with them. Like every time I've found one, the insides have been dry. I've usually found them in like mason jars, and when I find them, it's so rare that I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like this could break, but I've never found one in bad shape as long as
Right.
they have a host. I found one that has the host be like a birdhouse, fake birdhouse, and they just put it inside there. So I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't love them. I'm not going to put them out there, but they haven't been a bad experience for me.
Yeah, I found one on Monday actually. It was in a birdhouse container, but I found like the old Planters peanuts jars. That when they were glass, those actually tend to be pretty robust, and as long as you're putting it someplace where it's not likely to fall and break on something, I personally don't have a problem with it, but I'm not going to put one out because geocaching.com has it on their no list. And it's understandable because people are going to wind up putting it out in areas where people drop containers. I drop containers all the time. And if you drop it on concrete, now you got a shattered glass mess. And that someone can get hurt. So
Yeah, I pretty much can agree with both of you guys. I think it depends on where it is. I would personally never do it, but I have seen them quite a bit. And I do, if you're putting it inside of another container, like a birdhouse or something like that, where the chances of it getting smashed or falling on its own and breaking is slim, probably okay.
I have one.
What you got?
Caches, this is going to be really specific. Caches that butt up against people's houses, but they're like they're still in the park.
That's the worst.
Yeah. And so people are like
going up to them.
Yeah. And so many of those I've encountered, and then they have a barking dog to just put the cherry on the top.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm just like, yes, you can hide a cache here because it's a park, but just because you can hide a cache there doesn't mean it's a good spot for it. Like, especially if there's other places in the park. So it takes up a spot in that park and they just put it right on the edge, right in the backyard of somebody's house. Ugh.
You got a tree 15 feet away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Use it.
Yep. Or the fence post at the opening of a walking trail that goes in between two people's houses in the neighborhood. I've seen them there where like that walking trail is right in between their property. You're practically on their property. I've seen that.
Yeah, and you got to believe. Now, I love the reviewers. They thank you for your service, but they got to be able to see those on the satellite maps and at least question them. Like, hey, this is really close to somebody's house. Do you think you could put it there, but do you think it's a good idea?
Right.
They got to be able to see those houses on the satellite.
But they're supposed to have permission. Well, actually, if it's on the public easement, they're supposed to have permission. But most people, when they're putting stuff on public easements, don't get permission, and I don't think the reviewers ask. But yeah, sometimes people do have permission from the actual property owners, though, to put it there. And even some property owners, I've been to several where it's a reach over the top of the fence to grab it, the container, the ammo can sitting on a rail over the top of the fence, and it's the homeowner that's put it out there.
Yeah. And that's fine, but put it in this cache description. Hey, the homeowner knows about it. And that would just make me feel so much better than being there and having their dog bark at me.
Yeah, definitely. And Glenn Morton says, or if it's hidden with permission in a private yard, but you can't tell which is the correct yard. That's happened to me where like the cords are in the street and I don't know. And so I'm like nosing through people's garden. Like, am I in the right yard? I don't know. Our porch cache in the hint Scott gives the house number.
That's smart. That's a good use of the hint.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I had one where I had to go and read the number on the it's like the electrical meter or something that had an ID number. Had to go read it on someone's house to solve for the final coordinates. And it
Wow.
happened to be the homeowner. Later, I found out he's a friend of mine. Later, I found geocaching friend, and later I found out that it's a rental property that he owns. So it's not where he lives,
Oh my
but a
gosh.
rental property that he owns.
I hope his tenants are okay with that.
uh, Apparently,
Wow.
and
That's when your neon vest comes in handy, right? When you're not
yes,
shaving your nose in
exactly.
people's yards.
You're still uncomfortable doing that though.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. I have one. Let's see. Caches that look like something dangerous. Have you ever come across like a cache container that looks like a bomb or something that you shouldn't be using?
Yeah, I've come up on one that was a green camouflaged plastic pipe where they used the
Hmm.
PVC pipe. They painted it green and they had both of the cap ends on it. And it's like I pull it out and it's like, yeah, if someone saw this and didn't know what the heck it was, he was like, they'll be thinking it's a friggin' pipe bomb.
Yeah.
And I've got a container out there that is of that style, but it's white and it's also inside of a uh, it's a field puzzle. Crap, you were talking about the type of cache earlier, Josh.
Oh,
Gadget cache.
oh yes.
So you have to figure out how to remove that inner container out of the outside. But it's like I wouldn't put that out there on its own, even if it was just the pure white PVC.
Mm-hmm. Or what about the I had a trackable one time that was a bowling ball, but they glued a big piece of rope in one of the holes, so it looked like a bomb.
Look like a cartoon bomb.
Cartoon bomb, right? But it was a trackable. It was really funny. Could you imagine that ending
See,
up?
that wouldn't bother me because that's too cartoonish. It's like nobody makes a bomb like that.
That was funny.
I once found a Halloween cache that was a bloody chainsaw, like a fake bloody chainsaw.
Awesome.
It was actually really good. It's not out anymore, but like for Halloween, it was great. I think it was out for just Halloween. I think sometimes stuff like that, if the intention is just to have it out there just for a little bit to make some smiles, I think it's okay. But I would be worried of a kid coming across that.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Yeah, they freak out, call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are mentioning rubber snakes in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was one that was a rubber snake in a tree and found it at with a bison shoved down its throat, and finding it just after dusk, and the person behind me, like 15 feet behind me, spotted it and said, "Chad, look up." And I look up and I see this snake, and I immediately dodge down out of the way, and then realize, oh, that was the cache container. It was perfect timing because it had just turned completely dark and you're in the woods and
Wow. That's funny.
I just think if there's snakes and if I'm in a place where I'm already worried about snakes, you know what I mean? Like I've been out to do Arizona's first cache out there, and that's really in the middle of the book. And I was there, and snakes were about to come out, and it's just like I'm already on edge for real snakes.
Yeah.
So if I see a fake one, that's just not fair.
Yeah. Well, this was in the Houston area, and there's like like 7 varieties of poisonous snakes.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it.
Along the same lines, I lifted a lamp skirt once. I lifted and I stuck my head down under, and I was nose to nose with a little white mouse. And I dropped that skirt and jumped back and screamed. And then I went, oh, wait a second. And I lifted it up again, and the mouse was still right there, and he didn't move. That was the container.
Yeah.
It was very
Sweet.
cute. But it got me. I jumped. So, all right, what else you got? You guys still have more on your list?
Bad swag. So if
Yeah.
you're going to put out a container and you're going to put swag in it, put something that isn't going to, if it gets wet, isn't going to turn to all nastiness. Do not put food in a container as swag. I was finding a cache on Monday on the way back from Reading, and the most recent log was like cache owner had replaced the container, so I felt confident that was there, and I opened it up. There's a friggin' Slim Jim in there, and it's like, don't put food in a cache.
Mm-mm.
I took the Slim Jim out, and my wife's like, "So you're not going to eat that, are you?" And it's like, "No, I'm throwing it away." It's like it shouldn't be placed in a cache. So
Mm-hmm. I just saw something in the chat room. Oh, what about a fake wasp nest on a boardwalk railing? I have come across a fake wasp nest.
I 3D printed a mud dauber nest, and that I put a bison in it and magnets and put it up underneath a electrical box, or where they love to build their nests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to take a real good look at that before you start poking around.
Exactly.
KC11 found an ammo can filled with fake snakes and worms. It had a 3D printed panel cover that you had to stick your hand into in order to feel around for the container.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
All
It's
the-
like the game you play when you're a kid on Halloween. We have the spaghetti noodles and
Yeah.
the peeled grapes, and it's all the witches' parts.
I found at an event, I think it was at West Bend one year. It was like a Fear Factor game that was like that, and I think it was a perfect idea for an adventure lab.
Yeah,
because it
I
was
think I
temporary.
remember that. It was I think it was one of the adventure labs, wasn't it?
Yeah, you put your hand in there and you feel. I
Yeah.
think you just have to
Yeah.
feel, and then you had to answer the adventure lab like, "What did you feel?" or something like that.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, it was it was a fun idea.
That's fun.
This one might be controversial. Dangerous caches, like, and I'm not talking about tree climbs, but like high enough structures that if you fell, you could die.
Yes, I have that on my list as well.
Like bridges in Europe,
Yes.
where they like to shimmy along the
Yes.
iron trestle or whatever out to the cache, and it's like, and if you fall, you've got 100+ feet to your death.
Yeah, like
No.
caches that you don't need climbing equipment on, and so you could get it, but you could die if you
Yes.
fall. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. I just if somebody, it's a bad look for the hobby.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody can have a major accident like that. Not a fan.
I agree. All right, I have one more container type on my list, and that is containers that the neck or the opening is smaller than the rest of the container. You will never see that log sheet again.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
This is from going caching. You'll remember this.
Oh yeah.
Chad.
Yeah.
This is a Geocoin.
Mine's sitting right up there.
But yeah, this is kind of an example of that. Pretty tough to get. They had a little note. It's still in there.
Yeah.
It's a little note in there. Even the little note
Aw.
was hard to get out. Cool Geocoin. Not great container.
Yeah, my note's still there.
Funny. That's funny. Okay. Oh no, wait. I'm wrong. I have one more container, and this one I put on the list just for Scott since he's not here.
Oh, good.
bison tubes under a lamp skirt.
Especially if they're camoed. That's dumb.
Oh, if they're camel, it's dumb. I don't think it's a deadly sin. And GSM times 2 thinks what Scott does when he finds a bison tube under a lamp skirt is a deadly sin.
I just had to put that in there just for Scott. I'm not saying I think it's deadly sin. Not saying I agree with him, but he's not here, so thought I'd throw that in there for him. So, all right. What else? What else do you have, Josh? Any more?
Let's see. I just put easily muggable containers.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going back to TikTok. I've introduced a lot of people to the hobby, and I just get so many new players that are like, oh, I can't find it, or people that don't hide them well enough, and they're like, all my caches are being muggled, and part of me is like, are you hiding them in a good spot? What are you using? Like, if you're hiding a cache, if you're not skilled at it and you haven't found a lot of caches, your caches are going to get muggled, and it's probably the hider's fault.
Putting it in plain sight when it doesn't hide in plain sight.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's just such a bad look for people starting out in the hobby when they just can't find hide after hide after hide because they're missing, because they're bad hides. That bugs me.
Yep. Do you have any more, Chad? I got a few more here on the list.
I've got caches and mosquito breeding grounds.
Oh.
and I'm not talking just a little mosquitoes. I'm talking these are places that in Houston they would call it a mosquito breeding ground, where you get hundreds of bites in minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I've walked in one where it should be a quick, easy find, 10 feet off of a gravel road, and there's so much static water there that it was like, and I'm someone that is pretty resistant to mosquitoes. Mosquitoes love other people much more than they love me. And it was like, I had about 100 bites in less than a minute. It was like, okay, I got to go back out. And I had to walk about 3/4 of a mile back to my car because that gravel road had a iron bar across it. So I had, so my car is back down there. Go get my mosquito spray, walk back again, get it, and back out. So 3 miles later, I had a cache and was on my way.
Yeah, we've all been there where you're jumping around and waving your arms so much that you can't even sign the container or sign the log. Yeah. All right. What about this one? And this happens all the time with new cachers and new hiders. They think they found the perfect spot and they place a container there and they're all excited. And the seasoned cachers see it published and they look at where it is and they go, oh no. I got to go get this like today because it's going to be gone. Because you've already found 4 other caches there in the exact same place. So we have one nearby that, like, every couple years there's a new hide there, and it turns out it's in a tree kind of behind a gas station, and it's right next to a baseball field. And it's this great, perfect tree, multiple trunks and the perfect spot to put a cache container right down in there. Well, it turns out
that's a great place for kids to climb a tree
when
watching baseball.
No, that's where the players go and relieve themselves because there's no porta pot or toilet. It's like
that too.
Baseball field. So so they go and relieve themselves there, and that's where the cache container is hidden. So every time I see one come out in that place, I'm like, all right, we have to go and get it like today because I'm not waiting.
Right.
Yeah. I have a question. What do you think of placeholder caches? Caches, putting something okay in hopes that you're saving the spot.
unless you're planning on putting something out really soon,
Yeah.
I'm not for placeholder caches. Now, if you got a gadget cache that you're planning and you're in works of it, and the perfect spot opens up, okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna let that slide. But in general, no, because those tend to be ones like, well, I'm not going to put it out in the end, and
Yeah.
now you got a crap cache in a good place.
Jesse.
Well, I'm looking at it from a different angle, and maybe it's a little bit more selfish, and that is, I'll get 2 finds, right?
Mhm.
I'll log a find on the placeholder, and then a month or 2 later, when
Mhm.
that one goes away and the permanent cache comes out, I'll go find that one.
Yeah,
More, so you're thinking of it more finds.
As long
Yeah,
as the permanent cache, as long as the permanent cache does, in fact, come out.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, I've put out a placeholder cache, and maybe this is selfish, but I sort of have this feeling like, for the park closest to my house, like I feel like that's my park. And I've had in the park closest to my house, I've had just really horrible caches placed there by new players, and I'm just like, if the cache the park, or the park closest to my house should have great caches. I mean, it's a walking distance. So I have put a placeholder, and Chad, to your point, I've put a good one there now. It sat there for a
Okay.
while, but it took me time. But the intention was, I'm going to put a good one there. But I wanted to save it because it's like I can maintain it, because it's
Right.
literally walking, very close. So I kind of possessive of the parks closest to my house. It's like, that's my park.
I hear you.
Yeah. I think it's fine, because, then everyone gets 2.
That's true.
That's the way I look at it. So, what if that cache, though, is placed in a huge patch of poison ivy, or better yet,
Or poison oak.
zip tied in the winter to the vine of the poison ivy?
What?
Because in the winter, there's no leaves there, so it just looks like
What?
a vine.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, Scott and I found a cache like that. I'm like, is that poison ivy that this thing is zip tied to?
Okay. I'm gonna answer this. I got 2 answers. If it's poison oak, do not do that. If it's poison ivy, I don't care.
Well,
I'm allergic to poison oak. I'm not allergic to poison ivy. I remember the first time I found one, and that was it was actually a pretty cool cache, but it was in a field of poison ivy. I didn't even know it was in the field of poison ivy, and then someone said afterwards, it's like, you weren't afraid of the poison ivy that was around it? And it's like, well, what poison ivy? And then I went back and read the logs, and there were so many people that had complained about the poison ivy and stuff. And I went back there, and it's like, huh.
Oh.
I guess there is poison ivy here.
Yeah. I just saw a log. Someone was complaining about how much poison ivy there was near this hide, and how the hide should be disabled or archived or whatever. But this year especially, I feel like the poison ivy is way worse than it has been over the past few years. And I mean, there's really nothing that we can do about that. It is everywhere around here right now. So that's just how it is. Cash in pants, and make sure you wash, and
shop at Max Suds Body Company.
Yes,
That's right.
Ding ding. You're supposed to hit
looking
ding.
for the ding ding. I don't know where
Get
the
some Poison Begone.
I have that soap. It works.
Poison Begone soap, and it's spraying. And the 2-cent choices of bug spray for those mosquitoes.
Yes.
I thought of one.
Yeah.
What do you think of caches that are just regular caches, but they label them Travel Bug Hotel, but it's just a normal cache?
I thought about that one too.
Is it at least a regular size, or
I mean,
or larger?
yes. I mean, sometimes no.
Okay.
But I just think we've gotten to a point in geocaching where when you see Travel Bug Hotel, the bar is so high because there's so many great ones out there that if somebody just puts a larger container or a regular size, it says Travel Bug Hotel, I just feel like, gosh, you got to do more.
I like the ones that have all the nice little slots and everything for each of them to be put in there. But I'm okay with some of them. A lot of airport ones I find are basically an electrical box that someone has screwed into a utility pole, and it's just an exchange spot there. To be honest.
Well, that makes it special because it's by the airport.
Right.
So if it's by the airport or by a busy highway, like that makes sense. But if it's just like a run of the mill cache and it was like, I want Travel Bugs to be there, I just feel like that's like,
right.
You could do better.
And this is why I've never put out a Travel Bug Hotel, because if I'm going to do it, I am going to have something a little more fancy.
Yeah. The bar is so high.
Yeah. I found a Travel Bug Hotel one time that was like a pencil box sized container under a lamp skirt. And it wasn't anywhere. It was like in a shopping center. It was nowhere special. Just because it was a larger container under a lamp skirt.
No,
that's not for it to be a Travel Bug Hotel.
Well, another thing that makes a Travel Bug Hotel great is knowing that you can put a trackable in it and it'll be safe. So if they lock up, like if there's a lock on it, I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
this Travel Bug's gonna be safe. Like only geocachers are gonna figure out how to get in this thing. That's a good Travel Bug Hotel. I mean, you could do a whole show on that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You probably actually have already, but somewhere along the line.
I don't.
Not that I'm aware of.
Really? Oh,
that might be a good topic.
Yeah, write it down.
All right. I have a couple more on my list. Do you guys have any others?
I'm running out. I'm starting to run out. I'll just be honest.
Well, good, because we're actually over on time. So look, I'll hit the last couple of mine here. So an event cache. An event cache is technically a hide. So let's talk about some deadly sins for event caches. Probably not a good idea to hold an event in a really noisy bar or restaurant with like a live band and you're gathering inside and you can't talk to each other. The whole point of the event is to socialize and interact with each other. And if it's so loud that you can't even hear yourself think, that's probably not a good place.
I agree. I think I've been in plenty of events that were inside pubs, but thankfully none of them were real noisy ones. I wouldn't want one in one because you can't socialize. That's what the event's all about, socializing.
Right. Or I've been to an event that was in a really small restaurant, it was like a takeout place, but they had 2 tables for people to sit down at, and there were probably 30 geocachers there, and it was winter, so we couldn't even really congregate outside and talk and stuff outside. And so where are we supposed to
there's a Starbucks that gets used fairly frequently, and I've even been guilty of using it, but even in the winter, and it's like freezing out and you got 30-40 people standing outside in winter. The one time that I did it though, I did hide a puzzle cache that was literally a 50-foot walk from where people were congregating. So
group FTF. Nice.
Or if a lot of people are coming to your event but you don't tell the establishment that people are coming. That'd be a deadly sin.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. And all of a sudden 400 people show up. Although that happens all the time. That actually just happened to us. The whole baseball team went after the game to get food or whatever. And so you have, 12 players plus the parents plus the siblings, and we all bombarded this poor restaurant, and they're looking at us all walking in the door like, oh my God, they're not stopping. So
well, you can with a lot of chains they can handle like a bus showing up, right? But there's some places that they need to know if they have enough help. But some places we can handle 40 people that show up. So it just depends on the location.
Right. But giving them a heads up is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I have one other, and this is hiding a cache in a landscaped area or other area that changes often. So, like, I found one where it was a bubblegum machine container, and it was just thrown in like a daylily or some sort of plant like that, just popped right in that plant, at the entrance to a subdivision.
Yeah.
That didn't last very
no.
long.
Yeah. I think the days of fake sprinkler caches, I think those days are gone. I've sadly pulled up real sprinkler
sure.
heads, and I
Yes.
feel awful, and it's not my fault. It's the hider's fault that they
Right.
put it there.
Right.
I've disassembled and reassembled multiple. I haven't broken one yet. So
Yeah.
We know how real sprinkler heads go together very well, don't we?
yes.
It should be on the 101 tutorial for geocaching, how to assemble a sprinkler head.
That you've accidentally taken apart, right? Oh my goodness. Too funny.
Yeah,
All right.
I've taken apart a lot more than I have found geocache sprinkler heads. So
Yeah. All right. Any others? I think we're about out.
Here's the chat. Tiva28, I think it's or Tiva28.
Tiva.
What about the cache owner who has someone find a cache before it's published? And they put their name on it.
Yeah.
I think that's a sin. I don't know if it's a deadly sin, but it's a sin.
Right.
Especially if they claim FTF.
If they claim
oh, they claim the FTF now. That's
yeah.
yeah.
Like if Scott and I are out together and one of us hides the cache, the other one will sign it.
Yeah.
But we'll put like beta finder and then put our
Right.
signature. So FTF obviously is still available. But we had someone here who put out a cache and then had their kids go and find it, and then it published. And so we went there and there were already signatures. And so we were like, FTF ? And no.
Yeah, so the Where I Go that I put out in Brazil, the people that were with me signed it on the second page, and waited for real finders, and I even put a little note: FTF still available. And so they didn't take credit for FTF, but it's like they wanted credit for the Where I Go in the park.
Yeah. The only exception to that is if it's a tribute cache, Tyrone Shoelaces says, and usually then there would be like a pre-publication FTF and then a post-publication FTF. That's how we do it here in the Midwest. So, and I think that's differs in different areas.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. When the hide requires you to cross a railroad track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when it's too close to the railroad track. All right. Anything else? And hey, if anybody thinks of anything, give us a call, leave us a voicemail, 808-468-7924. That you can call that number anytime, not just on Wednesdays. And leave a voicemail. We can play it on the next show, or shoot us an email at the Geocaching Podcast let me start that over again. The Geocaching Podcast at gmail.com.
I think with the shows like this, a lot of the folks that I'm seeing in the chat room, they're veteran cachers. But if you are listening to this and you found the Geocaching Podcast, welcome. Glad you're here. And we hope you learn something, and you might have done one of these sins. You might be a sinner in the world of geocaching, but here's the good news. Now you know, and now you can be better. Now you can be better.
Yep. And you know what? I think we all are. We've all done one or more of these things without a doubt. So
yes, exactly.
Yep. So let's wrap things up. So next week is a holiday week here in the United States, and Scott and I both will be out on assignment. So we will not have a live show. There will be a repeat that we'll put out for audio only, and it will be a show from 2015. So let's see, 2015. That was you, Chad, right? That would have been
I would have been on there.
You and Scott. And Who else would that
Head hard hat.
Head hard hat? And maybe Corey?
It's Corey Stephen at infinitum. I
Okay.
can never say his name, his caching name right.
Yep. And the topic is how to effectively mentor geocachers.
It's a good
So that'll-
topic.
Yep, it sure is. So that'll be next week. And then we should be back to regularly scheduled programming the following week after that. So, and with that, let's wrap things up. Please join us again every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central as we stream live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on our website at geocachingpodcast.com. The archived video versions of our podcasts are available on our website or on our YouTube channel, and the audio versions are available on your favorite podcatcher. If you like the show, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate, review, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, and it really helps the show when you do. If you prefer to watch the show, make sure to click the subscribe or get notified buttons to know when we go live. If you haven't already, consider becoming a patron of our show. With tiers starting as low as $3, you'll get a ton of additional information, extra videos, extra audio, only available to patron members. Head on over to patreon.com today and subscribe. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. Thanks once again to our sponsors, Cachly, Logwork, FGF Geocacher Magazine, the Max Sets Body Company, Practical Geocaching, Arted Crafted, PathTags.com, Geocaching Adventures LLC, and GeoGo. Please visit our sponsors, and when you make a purchase, let them know that the GCPC sent you. So that is all we've got this week. We'll see you next week on repeat and live again the following 2 weeks from tonight, talking geocaching, taking your phone calls. In the meantime, be good, be safe, hug your loved ones, have a safe and happy 4th for those in the U.S., and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
And clear.
And clear.
Clear.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All
Good job.
Yeah, that went well. Better
Yeah.
than expected. I have lots of notes here on what to do.
Plenty to talk about.
And you're still
Absolutely.
alive, by the
Topic.
way.
And what?
You're still alive, by the way.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, we're still
Live.
the videos.
You're-
Oh,
videos
yes,
are
we
live.
are still live. I thought you were saying I'm still alive. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I be?
With Deadly Sins, hey.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah, all right. Well, let's end the broadcast. Thanks everyone for joining us in the chat room. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Peace. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.